On the Metal Gear Solid episode, I said that that game set new standards for the industry. Well, with the more powerful hardware of the PlayStation 2, that new bar was to be tested with Sony Japan's Shadow of the Colossus. Welcome to another episode of PlayStation Legacy. This is our first step onto the grand PlayStation 2 system, my favourite console of all time. This channel is going to be focusing a ton on the system. Now, what better showcase of the system's power than Shadow of the Colossus? Released in 2005, this game was about to stomp on its competition. A unique and broad experience, and one of the first video games that started to be labelled as art. But is it overrated, or is it truly the spectacle everyone claims it to be? In Shadow of the Colossus, you'll play as a man known only as Wanda, as he carries the body of a dead woman called Mono into the Forgotten Lands. Here he cuts a deal with a god called Dormin. If he can sacrifice 16 creatures within these Forgotten Lands, then Dormin will resurrect Mono. Wanda agrees, and thus the slaughter commences. You might think it's a rather simple Save the Princess storyline, but wow, your heart is gonna be stabbed by a silver stake by the end of it. Shadow of the Colossus puts you in this large, barren, open world, free for you to explore on horseback, and the environment Team Ico has designed here is breathtaking. From stunning canyons, lush jungles, to fiery sand dunes, this world has it all, and 16 humongous colossi populate it, in which it's your job to go and kill. All of the 16 colossi are well-made boss fights and utilise different attacks, strategies, or call on you to achieve different feats in order to vanquish it. Some of my favourites include the first Colossus, due to his back having these platforms laid out like it's some sort of Smash Brothers game, and this perfectly shows off that these beasts are like living, breathing platformer levels. I also really like the 6th Colossus for the way that you let him chase you as he destroys all these huge walls, and then you pull a Uno reverse card and jump onto his long beard. Colossi I weren't too keen on were the final two. The 15th Colossus was just too vague on what to do. The 16th Colossus was really frustrating due to his hand always shaking so I could never shoot his shoulder. This got to the point where I had to look up a guide, and it turned out you can stab his hand to stop it from shaking. But how are you supposed to know this? All the rest of the Colossi weak points are highlighted, either with red effects pulsing from it or a blue sigil. Mechanically is where Shadow of the Colossus takes a slight fall. Why, to roll, do I need to use R1 and triangle? Thankfully, the remake for PS4 fixed these control issues. However, Shadow of the Colossus is still rather clunky with its climbing mechanics. Often not grabbing when you want him to, or grabbing onto a ledge rather than the fur, and then trying to get off the ledge onto the fur is a problem all within itself. And your horse is still often a pain to control when trying to turn around or set up right to just simply jump to a platform. The amount of tries I had to get to that last bridge at the end of the game was tiresome. He just kept running off the edge. When it comes down to presentation, all that really holds Shadow of the Colossus back is the limitations of the PlayStation 2. The frame rate at many times is groggy, and in rare cases just about playable. And some textures can look fuzzy and unappealing. But you've got to give credit where credit is due, as the animation work in this game is phenomenal for its time. Every single one of the Colossi look, move and behave with intricate detail, and it's just all around fantastic work from the developers at Team Ico. Wonder has some of the best looking animations for the time, the way his body shakes when he's being pulled around by the huge titans, to even the way he runs and clambers onto his horse. And Agro, his horse, is also a joy to watch. Animations wise, his hair flying through the wind, everything looks and sounds fantastically. Music in this game also is award winning. The musical soundtrack that plays when you fight the first Colossus just helps put everything into perspective. It makes you feel out of your depth, makes you feel small, makes you feel punished, makes you feel weak, but at the same time pushes you on to overcome these beasts. The soundtrack deserves no less than the highest praises. Usually at this point in the video I summarise the ending of the game to bookend this episode, but I feel doing so for this game would be a disservice to anyone who still, for some reason, has not played it yet. This game is available on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 in HD, and was remade on the PlayStation 4, so go out and play it if you haven't already once this video is over. After the game is over, it's not. Shadow of the Colossus has a ton of items, weapons and gear to unlock that basically make the game easier, such as a glider, a mask of strength, an invisible cloak, and so much more. In the PlayStation 4 version there is also a bonus gallery content available to unlock and hidden coins scattered across the open world. However, collecting these coins I only recommend for the most hardcore Colossus players, as they are located in areas no one in the right mind would ever think to go. To 100% this game you could be playing for dozens upon dozens of hours, and that's after the main story is completed for the first time. There's a lot of busy work and not a worthwhile payout in the end. Shadow of the Colossus is one of the few games out there that not only make you feel accomplished taking out these gigantic beasts of nature, but also leaves you full of guilt. Its music is phenomenal, its narrative is powerful, and its colossi are breathtaking. Shadow of the Colossus may have had its shortcomings, but this was truly a huge influence on the industry. Changed people's minds, who believed video games would never be as broadly appreciated as the film industry, and started the trend of the games as art. It was PlayStation's Legend of Zelda, a tearjerker of an action game, and stole the souls of many weary gamers. Shadow of the Colossus gets the mighty score from me of an A for awesome.